Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into something absolutely fascinating. We're going to look at how a truly futuristic city manages to save massive amounts of energy, all while sitting right in the middle of relentless, literally melt-your-shoes kind of heat. Seriously, think about it. How do you build an energy-saving city in the middle of a 57-degree desert? I mean, the United Arab Emirates has historically relied on this absolute abundance of cheap oil to just blast the air conditioning. That makes the scorching Arabian desert kind of like the ultimate final boss for energy-efficient design. Okay, so here's our roadmap for today. 1. The urban energy problem. 2. A city beneath the sun. 3. Cooling through ancient design. 4. Harnessing the desert sun. And 5. A laboratory for tomorrow. All right, let's dive right into this. Part 1. The urban energy problem and the race against time. So, to really understand why a place like Masdar is so vital right now, you have to wrap your head around this number: 1 million. The world is adding the equivalent of a brand new city of 1 million people every single week. That rapid urbanization is creating a completely unprecedented global demand for resources and energy. It's wild. And the core issue here? Well, modern metropolises, think places like Dubai or Los Angeles, were built out of what architects call a false love of a Western model that was already out of date. We're talking about automobile-based, energy-hogging cities designed for cars, not pedestrians. If we're going to survive this urban explosion, we absolutely need a radically different approach. Which brings us to part 2, a city beneath the sun, rising from the Arabian desert. Enter Masdar City. Designed by Foster & Partners, it's this unlikely utopian blueprint built entirely from the ground up to redefine how cities are powered. And their first major design move? They placed all transportation underneath the city. Right, so by completely removing the automobile from the surface, the streets of Masdar are totally car-free. And suddenly, the whole scale of the city shifts. It becomes focused entirely on the human being rather than the motor car. Part 3. Cooling through ancient design. Ancient tricks from modern heat. Now this is where it gets super interesting. Masdar's first line of defense against that brutal desert sun actually comes straight out of medieval Arabic history. So first, the streets are deliberately pushed close together to maximize shade. Then, the entire pedestrian plane is lifted up by 7 meters just to capture those cooling desert breezes. And finally, they use these beautiful modern interpretations of ancient Arabic screens to ensure direct sunlight never actually hits the glass windows. It's a brilliant way to stop heat from transferring into the buildings in the first place, rather than wasting all that energy trying to cool them down after the fact. And this brilliantly illustrates the impact of those choices. Let's compare Masdar to downtown Abu Dhabi on a typical September day. So Abu Dhabi uses 60-meter wide asphalt streets and lots of mirrored glass, while Masdar uses those shaded, narrow raised streets we just talked about. Now, the air temperature for both is identical, 39 degrees Celsius. But look at the ground temperature. Abu Dhabi is a scorching 57 degrees, while Masdar is a much, much cooler 33 degrees. That is a massive 24-degree difference just from the physical layout. So what does a 24-degree drop mean for actual energy consumption? Well, 60%. These simple, low-tech, honestly ancient design moves drastically reduce the demand for energy. They cut air conditioning needs by a staggering 60% before a single solar panel is even turned on. All right, part 4, harnessing the desert sun, beyond silicon panels. Now, obviously, even with a 60% reduction in cooling needs, Masdar still needs power. And that brings us to the high-tech side of the equation. Standard roof panels here are actually doing double duty. They provide essential shade for the pedestrians below, while simultaneously generating electricity for the grid. But, silicon panels are expensive, so the city is aggressively experimenting with cheaper alternatives. Let's walk through one of their most exciting prototypes, the solar beam down. It's kind of like a giant puzzle. Step 1, you have this field of highly reflective mirrors that bounce the sun's rays up to a central tower. Step 2, those concentrated rays beam down to a specific central point, reaching a staggering 600 degrees Celsius. And step 3, that extreme heat generates steam to run electricity turbines. It's completely clean power. Which leads us to part 5, a laboratory for tomorrow. The reality of utopia. Now, to be completely objective here, Masdar is not yet a perfect, finished, fossil-free utopia. I mean, neither the standard solar panels nor the solar beam down work at night, right? So it still heavily relies on the natural gas grid when the sun goes down. Plus, the city itself is far from complete. It currently houses only a few hundred students, and its commercial footprint is basically limited to a store, 2 restaurants, and a bank. It is essential to ground the story in reality. But that definitely doesn't mean it's a failure. As the architects have pointed out, the true value of Masdar is that it serves as a living laboratory. It's this incredible testing ground that develops things that then can be applied in existing cities all around the world. The real payoff here lies in exporting these energy-saving innovations globally. So I'll leave you with this to think about. Can we apply Masdar's ancient lessons and high-tech solutions to the cities we already call home? As we face a pretty unsustainable future, adding 1 million people to our global cities every single week, the human-scale design choices learned out there in the desert might just be the exact blueprint we need. Thanks for joining me on this explainer, and keep questioning how we build our world.